We're going to join our first two petal squares. We do that from the back side. Now I have a little skewer, and you'll see how I use that little skewer here. It helps when I'm sewing flat on a flat surface. It helps me to get the needle up so that I can sew easier and it doesn't catch in the batting area on the back. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to lace together these two squares from the back side, joining the seam. Okay. Now, don't worry that this isn't going to be strong enough, because we will be sewing a sash on the front side that will be connecting both sides as well. So between the two, it'll be just fine. Okay. I make an extra one at the top and the bottom of the joining, just to make sure that those areas don't pull apart while I'm working down. Okay. In other words, I've doubled this one right here at the top. So let's come on down. You can go through all layers, about 1/8 of an inch in. That way your sashing will cover everything. Not too tight, not too loose. You just want it snugly pulled together, but you don't want to build a ridge, okay? They don't have to be real close, but comfortably close so that you feel like you're getting a nice strong bond there. If you use the fabric that you use over the top, your background fabric, make sure that you trim that well, that you've got nice clean batting edges when you start doing this, so you can really see what you're doing, where your edges are. So, you know, I did that on this clean edge here. You can see I haven't trimmed off my other edges yet, but I will when it gets time to put the sashing on those. Okay, this is the way all of my wild and free lap quilts and wall hangings are put together. This is not, I'm not making bed-sized quilts. I'm not making quilts that are going to have a whole lot of use by family members, children, and so forth and so on. My strings and strip quilt is for my husband. It's a lap quilt for him when he's sitting in his chair. So it definitely will be used. My landscape quilt, I do believe I'm going to turn into a large wall hanging for my own living room. And my circles and swirls quilt, intend to be a home decor piece to lay across my couch, but it will be lap size quilt so that it could be also used. Okay, so you see we're doing quite nicely. We're coming down that. We're keeping our piece nice and aligned. We're not stretching anything, pulling anything. We're just lacing it together firmly to keep it together, but not too tight to make it pucker. Every once in a while, just work your fingers like that. Make sure it's nice and flat, that you're not overlapping. You want to pull them together, but you don't want to overlap them. That would cause a ridge if you started overlapping. The skewer works good for me. I have also used a chopstick, one of a pair of chopsticks. That works good too. A small dowel, a crochet hook, anything that is small enough that you can just lift your needle over it and it'll slide over it so that you can pick it up easily on the other side. Over the years, I found that trying to do this on a flat surface, my needle would always catch in the fabric on the other side, and just very aggravating. So I just found me a little tool that stopped that from happening. Okay, now since I'm at the bottom, I'm going to do 2 at the very bottom junction. Make sure that I get it tight there. Okay. Let's look at it from the other side. All right, that's what it looks like. Now let's just, I like to run my needle up a little bit and then make a tie off. Make me a knot. Got some of the batting in my knot. Okay. Now, see how nice that is? Very nice. All right. Now, my sashing, I have some what you call this fabric? I'll think of it in a minute. But it has this gold printed on it, and I'm going to use that as my sashing. Okay, it's plain on this side. What do you call it? Boy, my brain isn't what it used to be. I'll think of it in a minute. This is going to be my sashing. Okay, it is 1 inch wide, and I have the purple with the gold. I have this variegated color with the gold striped, and I have this darker greens and with the gold. I will be using all of these 3 intermittently throughout as sashing. I split the difference. Center that across, center it across that stitching so that you're getting a good bit on each side. Now I'm going to coordinate the color of my thread with this. A lot of scrappy projects that I do, you see that I do not coordinate threads. I use whatever I have, but I'm going to try to coordinate my threads on my sashing because I really would like the sashing to show as a focal point because it's really pretty fabric. I got that fabric years ago at a Houston quilt festival, and I've been saving it. You know, I've used it little bits and pieces throughout the years, but I don't have a lot of it left, just about what you saw, but I'm going to use it on this quilt because I just think it's pretty. And add to this floral motif, I think, really nicely. Give it a little touch of elegance there, that gold stamped in it. Okay, I'm going to use split this floss into 2 threads. As you know, floss comes with 6 strands. I'm going to use 2. I just really kinked up on that one. Well, straighten it out some. Okay. Remember, again, this is a scrappy quilt. Nothing about it's going to be perfect, so don't sweat it. Go down there one. I think we're gonna tweak that just a little bit. I'll get that straighter. I go ahead and put one in the middle. Do not worry if you cover up part of your flower, okay? Like this side, this one might get covered. It's not going to be a big deal. Just make your flowers and don't worry about it. Otherwise, you're going to be stressing over every little measurement, and we don't want that. Okay, it's not necessary to do that. Well, let's do it this way first, then we'll come the other way. I'm going to simply do an overcast stitch. Again, I'm going to stitch twice at the beginning and the end just to get it started strongly. And just not too wide, but not too close either. I know that's like, oh, well, what do you mean? Learning to cook from my mother and aunts, it was just put a dash of salt or put a pinch of this or a palm of that would be all right. They had their own way of measuring without measuring cups. And you know what? It all worked out. And even liquids. Liquids were not measured. You put liquid in until you got the consistency you wanted. And so you learned about consistency more than about measuring. That's how I learned to cook. Okay, that's going to be how I'm going to attach those first 2, like that. All right. Now I'm going to do the rest of this off camera, and then I will be back and we will be working some more on this Blooming Petals quilt.